Welcome to this week's episode of Nooga Connection. I'm your host, Scott Davis. What an eclectic mix of guests. We're going to be joined by our Dog and Cat of the Week, brought to us by Mindy, Kolin from the McKamey Animal Center. We're then going to get into the local arts community and talk with Miriam Manda from ArtsBuild and Charlotte Caldwell from Stoveworks. We're going to be talking with Stacy Johnson from La Paz to talk about all the things that organization is doing for the local Latino community. Then we'll be talking with Bryan Shannon from Songbirds. On my way to the law firm yesterday morning, I heard that the last day of business for Songbirds would be August 15th. Still, it's worth seeing this segment. They've got $200 million worth of guitars and equipment. Check it out. Take a visit before they close. I think you'll enjoy it. But first, we're going to be joined by Dr. Bryan Johnson, Superintendent of the Hamilton County Schools, to talk with us about your child's return to school. Important, excellent segment. Friends, we are very fortunate this morning to be joined by Dr. Bryan Johnson, the Superintendent of the Hamilton County Schools. Hello and welcome, Dr. Johnson.
Hey, good morning. Hope everybody's well.
We are, and gosh, talk about well. I mean, I've got to convince 12 people in a jury box that I might be on the position of right, and you're out there trying to balance a lot going on with the school reopening shortly. I am getting questions from parents. You've been out spreading the message and spreading the word about the reopening. If you could, sir, we'd really like to go over that with you. Let's talk about this phased reopening. Can you share with us what is going on with the schools in their phased reopening?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know the COVID-19 presented a very complex situation for all school systems. Our district is no different. And so we stood up in early May a reentry task force that was comprised of leaders from our system, but also community members and students and teachers. They came up with a phased approach to how we reopen, and really 4 phases that we look at and trend data that really dictate where we are. Phase 4 being that we are completely open because of just a little to no spread. Phase 3 being that we may have some isolated schools that are closed based on spread. Phase 2 being that we are in a hybrid approach where students are grouped in A and B, and there is a pretty significant amount of spread in our community. And then phase 1 being that we are completely remote as a system because of the amount of spread in our community. And our goal was really to make our thinking visible. We're one of very few systems and probably the state and probably the country for that matter that have really probably tried to take this approach to try to make our thinking as visible as possible. So we're monitoring active cases. We have great partnership with the health department, but also, we're looking at things such as hospitalization rates. We're looking at ICU. We're looking at teacher and student absences, et cetera, to try to make the best decision for opening. And we've started sharing, I think the graphic that you have up, we started sharing that a couple of weeks ago or so to make sure that the public understood how we were kind of maneuvering through the phases. Now, we'll implement this phased, this gating criteria on August 31st. Our school doors will open on August 12th, next Wednesday, and we will do what we're calling a safe start, great start, and our students will be grouped in A and B, and they'll come to school in that manner over the course of the first couple and a half weeks.
Wow. And obviously, you're telling me everything that you're tracking. It's a fluid phase in, I would guess, or from what I understand, as things may change, you may have to revise the reopening somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, 3 words we've elevated in our conversations with community and parents. Firstly, we've shared that, this is a moment in time in our community across our country where we have to show grace to one another. There's no easy answers to this, and we start with that word grace. We want to show grace to our parents and community members, and we hope that in turn they show that grace to us because there's no playbook for reopening schools. We also understand, secondly, that choice is really important. We heard from our parents that, they want to be able to choose. Some are undecided, some are still deciding. and they need to be able to choose what's best for them and their families, and we want to be able to support that. And then, thirdly, as you mentioned, this is a fluid situation, and so from a fluidity construct, we get daily information from our local health department, daily information from state. The CDC guidance has been continuously changing as the experts learn more about how this virus is being transmitted and moving through our community. So we're working together in those areas to try to come up with the best solution to open our schools safely.
And you said parents wanted choices, and I personally love that idea. From what I understand, and I know that, and invite you to correct me where I'm wrong, I understand that there are essentially three options. One, from what I understand, again, is that the children can return to school. The other is that they can work online and be assigned a homeroom. And the third option would be they can work online without an assignment to a homeroom. And I think I understand what going to school means, but I'm not sure what the other options are. Would you please touch on those three options for us, Dr. Johnson?
Absolutely, glad to. So, contextually, we deployed 2 surveys during the course of the summer to get feedback from parents. Interestingly, in our first survey, we had over 25,000 respondents in our community, and about 55% of our parents that responded, and about 76% of our respondents were parents or guardians. About 55% of those parents said they either did not want to return their child to return to school or were uncertain about returning to school. The second survey was almost identical in those percentages. And so based on that, we knew that we needed to respond with a choice for our parents. And so what we have are 2 options from a virtual space platform. And so firstly, we have HCS at home, and that's a new program that we're deploying because there are so many parents that say, hey, I want my child to remain connected to school X. And I know that once this pandemic is over, I want them back in school X. But right now, I'm really unsure until there's a vaccine or whatever the case may be. I'm really more comfortable sending my child at home. But the on-campus experience is what I really am committed to. So for that particular family and situation, HCS at home is the most appropriate selection. We also know that in the spring, there were many families that, because of what we had to deal with, jumped into the virtual space. And so many parents and families realized and recognized that, hey, this is the best modality for learning for our family, for my child. And so for those students and families, we wanted to be able to expand our virtual school. And so we have a virtual school, which is a separate program. And what you're really saying, if you want to be a part of the virtual school, is, hey, what happened in the spring was transformational for me. I don't intend necessarily for my child to maybe ever go back to what has been their traditional homeschool environment or at school on campus environment. We want to remain in the virtual space. And so that's the key difference between the two, the connection to the on campus learning versus the connection to, just purely a virtual school space.
Let's talk a little bit about continuity. The parents that are concerned about, we want the same teacher to be teaching English or math or whatever throughout if we stay virtual. Is there a plan in place to keep that continuity, see that same teacher throughout the year if they in fact intend to stay online?
Yes, absolutely. So with HCS at home, obviously the virtual school, yes, that will be the case for sure. With HCS at home, it absolutely will be the case as well. You can't control the uncontrollables, and so
Right.
time to time teachers have substitutes, and something unforeseen may happen with the schedule. But all of our principals are planning in that way to make sure that students have connection. One of the things that we've talked very candidly about, we're talking about earlier this morning, was the fact that, with HCS at home as well as with virtual, parents and families and students, most importantly, need to feel a part of a community. And so, how do you create community? You create community by creating consistency. And so our schools know and understand that. And again, I can't say enough about the work that our teachers and our leaders are doing, our staff members, around really trying to get schools reopened. And I would say this as the last point, to really, I hope, bring maybe even deeper context to it for reflection. We close schools as a country with, what is in comparison minimal spread in comparison to where we are today, and so to think we can reopen schools without, systems and structures and processes just, at the flip of a switch, it's probably not the best approach. And so it's going to be challenging. It's daunting on all school systems across the country. And it's obviously a challenge that we're leaning into here locally.
So, Dr. Johnson, you make no secret. I mean, you're a proud father. You've got a 9-year-old son. And I think a lot of us wonder, do you feel the pressure to return your son back into the school system to perhaps set an example or to show that it's relatively safe?
Yeah. So my son's always been in public schools through his 10 years, a 9-year-old, and we are proud public school parents, always have been and always will be. And so for us, when we try to make that decision as a family, what we come to the determination of is that the risk reward conversation that we know that every family is having. And so, fortunately for our family, we have no known underlying health issues or things of that nature that are impacting our decision. So we're able to make it solely really on what's best for him and his learning. And we just firmly believe that, the on-campus experience is what's best for us, what's best for him. And so he will be returning to on-campus learning, all things being the same. I probably should say the caveat here that my wife is the superintendent of our house. And so at the end of the day, everything is subject to change, but we have had very open conversation, dialogue, and he's anxious to return. One of the things is not, we're talking a lot about, how do we return students and grouping and all these different things and what phases we'll be in and everything else. Children don't know those phases. Children want to be around other children, generally speaking. And, I think there's a whole nother conversation to be had about mental health and supports for students and what they really need as children. This experience has been fairly, challenging for them. I mean, when you think about kids in schools, et cetera, to have had weeks where they weren't engaging at that level, honestly, months where they haven't engaged, at that level. It's been a challenge for them. It's something that's very, very different. So I've seen personally how my son has begun to interact with his friends again and is enjoying that. And I know what happens with learning in the classroom. And so he will be returning to on campus.
Well, I have also been following the concerns about the mental and psychological well-being of children returning back to school, the need to be with their peers versus weighing the risks of returning because of COVID. However, some parents and guardians simply don't have that option. They cannot stay home. There will be no adult for that child, so the child has to return to school. Let's talk a little bit about what the schools are implementing. I know you have quite a machine in place to try to reduce risk, but we have to acknowledge nothing is risk-free, and certainly the return won't be risk-free either.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to have. I believe it was Admiral Stockman that said, you have to have faith that things are going to operate really well, but you also have to operate in facts. And so the facts are we're in a pandemic. The facts are it's a global pandemic. It's a national pandemic. It's hit our state, and obviously it's hit our community. The facts are, they're probably likely would. We are preparing for positive cases. I have faith that we have some structures and systems in place to be able to respond intentionally to those things that have happened. So specifically, we will have a third-party cleaning service that will, come alongside our normal service to provide enhanced cleaning. We've got processes. Our nurses have been through additional training and supports to make sure that we're able to respond and ready to respond to our students. Obviously, our teachers are reporting, on Wednesday, which is a week before, when students report, and we'll be able to go through some of these processes and structures. Our school leaders have been engaged in this conversation on a 2 to 3 time a week basis for the last 3 months. around how we reopen safely and what things we need to be thinking about. And so there are just a myriad of structures that we've tried to put in place. Obviously, in phases 2 and 3, we'll mask students and ask students to be in mask, and our teachers and leaders and staff members to be in mask. And being masked, it's not about right, left. It's really about how do we stay in school as long as we can, and what data points and what research are we using to make and ground those decisions. We want to be in school, whether that's virtually, on campus, etc. And the best way to go about that approach is to do what the data is telling you to do. Obviously, in our county, we're under mask mandate, and I think we're starting to get some really strong indication that that's having a positive impact on active cases and what's transpiring. So we can overcome this and learn how to live with COVID-19 responsibly. And that's really the conversation we have to have as a community. So it's a community-wide conversation that obviously we want to filter down to our schools.
Well, and I'm gaining confidence talking to you about what's in place, and I'm certain that the parents that are listening are also gaining that confidence. But let's move on to something fun. You got a back to school bash coming up. Can you share with us what that's going to look like this year, Dr. Johnson?
Absolutely. So this Saturday, 10 to 2 at the Tennessee Pavilion, downtown New Horizon Pavilion, we're excited that we'll be able to provide our students and families with the resources necessary to return back to school, whether that be virtual or whether that be on campus. The reality is there are resource needs. We have a very diverse school system, and we're fortunate to have so many great partners that are a part of this project, have been a part of this project. It will be different this year because it will be a drive-up experience. We've the past few years have had hundreds of students and families and community members that have been there. And again, we're just grateful to be able to continue to support, and again, thankful to all of our partners who have come alongside us and continue to come alongside us through getting our schools reopened.
Oh, and you're doing an amazing job, and I thank you very much for your service. I did want to point out, I was picking on you a little bit beforehand, saying you looked like you were a defensive back, and you shared with me that in fact you were. Tell us, I mean, for somebody who looks at you and says, "Man, how's this guy stay in shape when he's constantly working and worrying about our students?" Tell us, give us a little bit about your athletic background, sir.
Yeah, so many moons ago, I was a decent student athlete. I obviously played high school. I played a little college football, and so I don't know that I've stayed in shape as well as I should have. The camera may be doing me better justice than the joke that I'm getting softer and softer as really the days go by. And I told my wife that. COVID-19 has a dual meaning. COVID-19 is obviously dealing with this pandemic, but that 19 on the end, I believe, means that so many people, I know myself, you found about 19 pounds somewhere that you really didn't need. So yeah, but I had the fortune of really playing college football at Austin Peay State University, and more than anything, learning how to be a part of a team, learning how to serve, learning how to win, learning how to lose. We're very fortunately had that experience as a college student.
You said something that strikes a chord with me. I spent a lot of years in the military, and you're talking about a team. And the most important lesson I learned in the service is the team aspect. As a team, you take care of the team, you watch out for the team. And I think if we approach educating our students and our children as a team, we're going to meet with the best success that we can. And so, Dr. Johnson, your time today has been tremendous. I thank you very much. I thank you for what you're doing. And anything changes, we'd love to have you share more. I will tell you this, and I mentioned it beforehand, but having the superintendent, the man at top, the buck stops here, share what he's putting in place. I know that many, many parents are going to find that very comforting. So I want to thank you again, sir. I know how busy you are, but I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you all for the opportunity, and we look forward to continuing to engage and appreciate the work that you all do as well.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Please like and share this video, like our page, and subscribe to our channel. Dashboard cameras are becoming more and more widely used. And as an attorney, I think it's a terrific idea. And so this week, I'm going to give away a dash cam. Enter to win at noogaconnection.tv. Okay, now joining us next is Mindy Kolin from the McKamey Animal Center. And Mindy, this is becoming one of our favorite segments. Everybody loves animals. I love animals. And we like to talk about the Nooga Connection dog and cat of the week. And
right.
Let's start with our cat of the week. Mindy, who do you have there?
Yeah, good morning, Scott. This is Sunny. Sunny is a 2-year-old, very sweet and affectionate cat. She's been here for a couple of weeks. She only has 3 legs. I'm not sure if you can tell, but the side facing out, she does not have a leg there. She came to us as an owner surrender. Sadly, her owners, she's a child that got kind of caught in the middle of almost like a divorce, we'll say. So she's now finding her way into the shelter, and I want to get her out of here as quickly as possible. She's so sweet. As you can see, when I first brought her into my office, she was a little nervous. She wasn't very happy because I had to put her in a cat carrier, but in no time, she crawled right into my arms. She's sitting here purring and perfectly content. And she is a very, very sweet cat needing a home.
So she's ready. I mean, there's no socialization, acclimation needed. That she's ready to go and give some love.
She loves dogs. She grew up around dogs. So my understanding is if you've got dogs and you wanted to have a cat, she would be a good fit. And yes, save the date. It is August. So right now it's clear the shelter. So, you can come in and adopt her and help make some space in the shelter as we try and empty it out to remove the stress off of the animals, remove the stress off of the staff. It's coming up on hurricane season, so we'll be heading into impacted areas to clear out those shelters. So we need people to come on in and adopt animals that are ready, like Sunny, so that we can have more space here.
You were telling me about that. We say come in and clear the shelter. You don't stay cleared. You bring them back in. Tell us why is McKamey Animal Center going to be impacted by the hurricanes? Can you explain that to our listeners?
Sure. So we're a disaster relief center. And so we've got partner shelters across the Southeast who look to us when a storm is going to hit. And what we do is we go in ahead of time and empty out the shelter in an impacted area so that after the storm settles, displaced animals from those cities have a place to stay. If those shelters were full, then those animals lost would have nowhere to go. So it would not be unheard of for us to go in and bring back 80 animals when we are already full, just to get them out of harm's way and make room in those cities to be able to, store animals that are lost or scared from the storm.
And I think it's worth saying, in addition to adopting, if you can adopt, absolutely. But if you are not in a situation where you can, there's other ways to help your shelter or your center with the influx of new animals. How can we do that, Mindy?
We need fosters all the time. We are always looking for families who can foster. We look for 10-day to 2 weeks. We can be very flexible, but a 2-week stay out of the shelter for a dog or a cat. We do need fosters for kittens and puppies. It is kitten season. We do get a lot of bottle babies. So if you've not done a bottle baby kitten before, we can train you. But so we are always looking for foster partners because it also lets us get animals out ready that are adoptable animals, get more visibility. So if you foster and you share on social media photos and pictures, we would ask you to help find them a forever home. Sometimes foster fails happen, although we call it a foster win, and you wind up keeping your foster baby. Yep. But then we also need foster families to help with animals who are sick or injured and just need to be able to recuperate outside of a shelter environment where they'll do better. And then, of course, the orphaned animals that need bottle feeding and things like that. So on our website, if you go to programs and foster, there's a form that you fill out. And Abby and Alexis are coordinating our foster program, and we are always looking for foster families.
Absolutely. And in addition, the cold hard cash, always useful. to the center?
We can always, yes, absolutely. We rely heavily on financial support and contributions to make a lot of our rescue efforts and safety net programs available to those in need, for sure.
Okay. Well, I know. So one of my producers is in London, and he is fascinated with your potbelly pigs, and he was quite upset last time that I didn't talk about them. Mindy, share with us about your potbelly pigs.
So I've been here a little over a year, and we've always had at least 1 or 2 pigs. The last several months, we have had dozens. There was a case that had a community member had too many, and so they had to surrender them, and a couple of the females were pregnant, and we didn't know that, and so now we have a whole bunch of babies, as well as some older potbelly pigs ready to be adopted. They are pets. I need to reiterate, we only adopt them out as pets. The video that you're seeing is Porky, and that is at his new home. He was adopted a week ago, and the owners sent us this awesome awesome video, and he now has a bestie named Penelope. She did not come from McKamey, but we do have several other potbelly pigs that are already available. Pumbaa, oh gosh, their names escape me, but they are on our website, mckameyanimalcenter.org/adoption. We are by appointment only, but if you're looking to bring a pig home, keep in mind they grow. They grow. Some of the ones we have are because the owner didn't think about the long-term impact, and at 300 pounds living in a house, that's a big pig.
Yes. I had no idea they got that large.
Well, if you keep feeding them and they become your baby and you spoil them, things can happen. So so we definitely want to educate people as well before they bring home a baby potbelly pig.
All right. Well, Sunny is beautiful. I love her. I had a Sunny dog that lived to be 18 years and 2 months, so I just love her to death. But I'm sorry. Are we ready to introduce our dog of the week? Oh, hello. Look at that.
I'm going to swap. Oh, she doesn't want to go down. Hold on. I'm going to swap real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There you go. Go ahead, sweet girl. All right, Vixie. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is Vixie.
With a V. Vixie.
With a V. Yes, this is Vixie with a V, and Vixie now just wants to see Sunny, obviously. So there you go. There's the photo. Vixie is in the bottom right corner in that photo. We had a mama and babies come to us in November, and they had such bad mange, and it was just awful. This was my first experience to dogs that had that severe neglect, and we got to watch them. I loved watching us care for them here and seeing them all get adopted. So Vixie, sadly, just was returned because the people that adopted her, one of them is allergic. And so, so I wanted to, we have so many amazing dogs, so many, but I wanted to get her out of here as soon as possible. I thought she would be a great pet of the week because you could see that before photo and see what she has been through. Oh, Piggy, she just burped. I don't know if you heard that. Sorry. But she and I can tell you that she is the sweetest little thing. She loves to snuggle. She loves to roughhouse. She plays with squeaky toys. She does what we call zoomies when the dog goes running crazy, crazy, crazy. So she is available for adoption. She does have to have a dental, so she can't go home until after that's been done. But she is a honey, and she's been hanging out with me in my office for the past 3 days because I just can't get enough of her. But my house already has too many.
Is she full grown, Mindy?
She is full grown. She is full grown. Okay. I mean, look at this. Look at,
perfect
I mean,
size.
She's like tiny. Oh yeah. She's just a little bit bigger than a pocket pet. So and she's a terrier mix. She's a terrier mix, and she's just over a year old, and she still just acts like a puppy. So,
that's wonderful. Oh gosh, I enjoy this segment so much. I probably dwell too long, but I tell you, I just, come on, community, get involved. Go look at these dogs, adopt these dogs, foster these dogs, and if you can't do that, please contribute monetarily, because I mean, these animals didn't ask to be treated like this, didn't ask to end up in the center, but these animals deserve to be loved. Who doesn't? And Mindy, you're wonderful. I thank you for what you're doing for the community with those animals, and you guys out there are amazing. And thank you for coming on and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Are you on Twitter? Follow us at Nooga Connection. Congratulations to JT Chandler of Ringgold and Sarah Einstein of Chattanooga, who've each won a $100 gift card to Adventure Sports Innovation. Now, don't forget to sign up for this week's prize, which is going to be a dash cam. Go to noogaconnection.tv to enter. I'm looking forward to this next segment a lot. We are going to be joined first by Miriam Manda. Now, she is with ArtsBuild here in Chattanooga. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so excited.
Great to have you on. I've learned, so we chatted beforehand. I've learned so much about your organization. Tell me in a nutshell, what is ArtsBuild? What do you do?
Yeah, so ArtsBuild, we're a local nonprofit, and our mission is stronger community through supporting the arts. And one major way we do that is through our providing funding through our grants to local organizations that provide educational initiatives and arts programs for local Chattanoogans.
And you provided over $500,000 worth of grants to 21 different organizations. That's phenomenal. I mean, there is definitely an art culture here in Chattanooga, isn't there?
There definitely is. It's vibrant, it's growing, and we're here to support it. And yeah, so our mission support grant is what you're referring to. So we provided $500,000 in funding to 21 local arts organizations this year. And we actually increased our funding from last year. And we also funded 3 new grant recipients, and that's who you'll be talking with today, is one of those grant recipients. And we also, this is the first year that we are have increased the number of organizations that we've supported.
So even during this COVID crisis, you all are really getting a lot of community support. Tell me, how would someone get involved? How, if you love the arts, 2 questions. How do I support your organization? And how do I find out what's going on in our arts community?
Yeah, so you can definitely support through becoming one of our donors. So you can easily visit artsbuild.com, and we have a section where you can click donate. And this is also a landing page where you can find out about all of our cultural partners, and those are institutions and small organizations that are providing ongoing programming, whether it's virtual programming or visiting the institutions here locally in Chattanooga, whether it's the Creative Discovery Museum, for example. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about ArtsWire. What is that, Miriam?
Yeah, so ArtsWire is our weekly newsletter that we publish, and it has information as far as local grants, international grants, national grants that can provide funding, as well as upcoming local arts events that our partners are feeding us what's happening on a weekly basis as far as their programming. And it's an easy way to get information about upcoming projects, whether if you're a local artist and you want to be involved in something, we will also put that kind of information in there, and you can easily sign up for our newsletter on our website as well.
I love that idea. One-stop shopping, find out what's going on, where the arts are, how art lovers can go and enjoy that. Now, you also said something earlier that really struck me, Miriam. You said people forget that artists are small businesses, and you all have this artist emergency fund. I understand that you have supported over 100 artists with that fund.
Yes, exactly. So, we wanted to mobilize as quickly as we could to support local artists who lost income because of the shutdown and they had to cancel all their gigs. And as I said, they're part of our, local economy. They support us, and we wanted to provide funding for them as well. We've been focused on small businesses, and they are, like you said, they are small businesses in themselves, and they also make our community vibrant through the programs that they produce here.
Well, and we are fortunate to be joined by Charlotte Caldwell. Now, Charlotte is the founder of Stoveworks. You are the head honcho of Stoveworks. Charlotte, you have a view and a vision about your organization. Share that with us. You received one of these grants. What are we going to see from Stoveworks?
All right. Thanks, Scott. I'm really excited to be on here with both of you guys. Well, we have a pretty comprehensive vision, and we're very excited about the support that we've recently received from ArtsBuild. It helps us in so many ways. The core of our programming revolves around providing support to visual artists through the production, exhibition, and education, through contemporary practice. And the core programs are that residency and exhibition space, as well as complementary educational programming that helps deepen our audience's experience of the work.
You got this vision. I know you've got this plan. What do you see when someone like me, I bring my family come down, and when everything gets in place and Stoveworks is running, what are we going to be able to find there?
Everything. No.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, our goal is to be as fluid in our programming as possible. But we have the ground floor of the space, which is in total 27,000. The entire space is 27,000 square feet. On the ground floor, which is around 9,000 square feet, is all of our public-facing programs. So in that space, you'll find exhibitions that are curated by our curator, Mike Fagan, who's actually a University of Georgia, we used to work at University of Georgia, actually. So spent some time in Athens. And then educational programming that complements that. We have a classroom, and that'll be, artist panels, screenings, artist presentations, anything that helps sort of thicken and sort of generate dialogue surrounding the themes explored in the exhibitions. And then we'll also have a library that'll just be for people to pop into and sort of self-enrich, we'll say. And then on the second floor, we have our artist residency program. And for the next year, we have roughly 70 artists coming from all over the country, and one international artist. And they'll be staying on site. 10 to 13 will be staying on site any given month. And so it'll be sort of a frequent turnover of artists and residents that are largely emerging in their career.
Where'd you come up? I've got to ask. I mean, this is a phenomenal idea. What's the genesis of this of Stoveworks plan?
I've been working in the nonprofit arts field, specific to sort of smaller contemporary exhibition spaces and programming. So Stoveworks is really sort of the synthesis of 10 years of those experiences, largely based in an organization called No Longer Empty that I worked for in New York City, and then my time as an artist residency director in a small organization called Wasaic Project, which is just outside of New York City by about 2 hours. So I'm bringing all of the ideas from those experiences and sort of wrapping them up in a nice, pretty package and calling it Stoveworks.
Chattanooga has so many amazing things. Okay, so let me ask you this, and I hope this isn't too juvenile or elementary. My 7-year-old and I are fascinated with Bob Ross, and we actually bought the Bob Ross kit. We do the Bob Ross paintings. I'm not good at it. My 7-year-old's better than I am. It's phenomenal. But for the kid, the parent that has a kid that wants to get involved in the arts, are there going to be classes? Is there going to be a chance for them to sit down and touch, feel, create at Stoveworks?
Yeah, we'll have a range of educational programming that complements the exhibition that satisfies, not just, adults and sort of young adults, but also children. So we will have monthly children/family workshops that tie in directly with some of the materials being addressed in the exhibition. So it'll be very responsive. It's not going to be just painting. It might be, collage, but as it attaches to sort of the way we think about the environment around us.
Yeah, so you were telling me earlier, it sounds like you said you're kind of edgy. It's art, but art with a meaning, right? I mean, to me, all art has a meaning to the creator, I would think. But you have a specific vision, art with a meaning. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to position art as a vehicle for like larger conversations about the things that are happening in the world around us, right? I mean, in so many ways, we're limited to, to sort of processing the events of our lives through words and through like media outlets, like your wonderful media outlet, which we're so thankful for, Scott. But it's basically just creating another vehicle for which we can explore the issues that affect us daily, right? We've had exhibitions that have dealt with sort of imagined and real borders, which is what you're seeing right now from an exhibition called Fluctuating Meridians. And we've had exhibitions that have sort of used art to look at sort of issues in the environment and our relationship to it. So it's not just about our relationship to the object, but what that object means and the sort of the signifiers that it carries and how we can navigate it with each other and become better for it.
That's pretty deep. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Sorry.
Tell me, Charlotte, I'm just a lawyer. I don't think in those big terms, but I'm going to work on it. Charlotte, tell me, how do I find out more, and how do people find out more, support your organization? Where do we go?
The best avenue for continued awareness about our programming is through our website. You can sign up for a newsletter, which we send out probably about twice a month, and that'll update you on upcoming exhibitions and opportunities for artists, as well as programming. And then also as far as terms of support, we've actually got a really exciting fundraiser that we're launching right now called the Up for Grabs Naming Rights Campaign, which is we're naming basically everything that we possibly can. So from $10 to $1,000, you can put your name on a thing, whether it's a spoon or a fire extinguisher or a ring. Yeah,
I love that. Well, let's bring Miriam back in. Ladies, I got to tell you, I really have learned a lot today, and I know that our viewers will as well. We have a vibrant arts community. We just need to get the word out, and I think that you ladies are both doing a lot to help us with that. I want to thank you for your time today. Do this for me. You got an event coming up, something you want to share? We'll have you on anytime. You both have been very informative and wonderful, and we'd like to continue to support you in any way we can.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I'd like to also let you know that we also have another grant program that we recently launched called our Community Cultural Connections Grant. And it's on a rolling basis, and you can apply for up to $2,000 worth of funding for projects or programs that use the arts to make the community a better place. So I encourage you to visit our website and also check that out as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, ladies, for your time. I appreciate you both very much.
Thank you, Scott.
Have a great day. Thanks, Scott.
All right, time for more real talk from a personal injury trial lawyer with 26 years of experience. Cameras are ubiquitous. You see them on every corner. You see them in a lot of businesses. But not every accident is captured with a camera, and that could very well help your case. I'm a big proponent of dashboard cameras or dash cams, and that's why I am giving away this week a dash cam. Enter at noogaconnection.tv so that you can protect yourself, protect your family. Look, let me give you a few stories. First of all, I got a call from a client or a potential client, elderly gentleman, got into an accident at 1 a.m., ran into a tree. The officer said he fell asleep. This gentleman said, no, I didn't. I was run off the road. He has no evidence of that. A dashboard cam would have shown that and would have given him a case where he could recover for his serious injuries. Had another situation where a car tried to stage an accident. The car in front of my client stopped short and said my client hit him. Fortunately, there was a witness to the non-accident, and the witness said, no, that didn't happen. If my client had had a dashboard camera, he could disprove that an accident occurred and protect himself from that setup. And finally, road rage. A dash cam might reduce your risk of becoming the victim of road rage if someone knows they're captured on camera, but it also might make sure that we act our best, right? I mean, we're less likely to maybe tailgate somebody or brake check somebody or flip somebody off. Or if we've got a teenage driver, young driver driving our car, maybe it'll keep them in check as well. Doesn't hurt. It can protect you. It can take care of your family. And that's what we're all about. Protect yourself, protect your family. Enter to win our camera at NoogaConnection.tv. Good luck. All right, well, let's share some important information and have some fun. We are now joined by Stacy Johnson. Stacy is the Executive Director for La Paz. Welcome, Stacy.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Stacy, share with us, what is La Paz and what is the mission statement?
Well, La Paz is an organization here in Chattanooga that works with the Latino population. Our mission is to empower and engage Chattanooga's Latino population through advocacy, education, and inclusion.
And you have fun too. Recently, we had a segment about the taco tour, and the Tequiza Taco Tour is now complete, and you have crowned, or I should say, the winner of the Golden Taco Award has been crowned. Who won that coveted award?
Cheese Dip Mexican Grill. They are the winners of this year's Golden Taco.
So folks, give them a try, check them out, visit this Latino-owned business and patronize them, take care of them. All right, Stacy, that's great. Now, let me ask you this. La Paz, you have so many irons in the fire. Last year, La Paz assisted over 10,000 people. Is that right?
That is right. For many years, we served about an average of 5,000 to 6,000 people. And last year, that number went up to 10,000. And we are already starting to see, because of the pandemic, we've seen a huge increase in those that we are serving. So we've already served about 6,000 people, and it's only August.
Wow. And so share with us, what does that assistance look like? And what form does it take?
Well, we have kind of three buckets of service, if you will. We have our social impact department, and that is all of our case management, social services, anything and everything that a Spanish speaker Latino person may need. They can come to our office normally, or during a pandemic, they can call our service line, and we can help them either in-house or connect them to a trusted resource. We also have our community education and engagement program, and that is really going the next step in connecting with families. We go into the community and have workshops, trainings, support groups, bringing people from the Latino community together and creating an environment in which they can share their experiences. Also, they can learn from each other and learn from experts. And we also have a business development arm of La Paz, and that is connecting with Latino business owners, highlighting them, such as doing Taquiza, but also giving them the connections with other business owners. And we also have a consulting model so that we can help other organizations and businesses reach this growing market.
Well, now talking with you beforehand, I mean, it's clear that you are a true believer. You have a real heart for the Latino community. And you mentioned that La Paz is really the trusted resource and communication source for the Latino community. Can you share what that means with us, Stacy?
Sure. Well, La Paz has been part of the community for 16 years. So we have built built relationships within the community with organizations, with individuals, with corporations and foundations. So we have become the trusted organization working with the Latino community here. And because of that, during crisis, during times of real need, the Latino community knows that they can depend on us. So, at the beginning of the COVID crisis, the Latino community came to us. They wanted information from us, from a trusted source. And because we don't have a Spanish newspaper, we have a Spanish radio station, but no other outlets. We had to make sure that the community got the information in a timely manner. So we not only work to serve the community, we also work to make sure that they have access to the same information that you and I have, as well as trusted resources in the community.
Okay, and now you mentioned COVID. Obviously, I mean, that's on the news. I know people tell me a lot. Scott, is that all you're going to talk about? But I mean, this is the pandemic of our lifetime. Let me ask you this. Hopefully this is the only one, but you've mentioned that you helped 275 families financially from or due to problems with the COVID pandemic. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we said we served an average of 5,000 to 6,000 people last year. 10. We've already gotten over 6,000 calls to our resource line since March. But because a large percentage of the population we serve are not eligible for federal aid, they're not eligible for any sort of financial assistance as far as unemployment services and things like that, we created our Latinx Relief Fund. And we've gotten the Community Foundation of Greater Chattanooga really helped us kickstart that fund to support families in need. We also got donations from several partners, such as the First Horizon Foundation, Tennessee American Water, and also a lot of individuals. And we had another donation from Accelerator for America, and also depending on the United Way Restore Hope Fund. So through all of those funds and through all of those partners, we were able to provide financial assistance to 275 people so far.
Wow.
Families,
okay,
275 families.
Families, yeah. So, Stacy, how does someone contribute to La Paz? How do we get money into the organization's hands to get out into the Latino community?
Well, we have several ways in which you can donate. You can donate via our website, so lapazchattanooga.org. You can donate to our organization, which continues to help us support the Latino population, whether that is education or direct service. You can also donate to our Latinx Relief Fund that goes directly in the hands of families in need. And then we also have a capital campaign going on right now. So we have a lot of ways in which you can donate and a lot of different paths. So we also, the capital campaign is micasachat.org.
Okay, and the capital campaign, you all have been there in that little house on Bailey Avenue for a number of years. You're growing, you're doing more. You need more space.
We need more space. We have outgrown our space. We actually outgrew our space several years ago. We pile people in on a normal basis. We pile people in our kitchen, in our living room, in our offices, and we know that with the amount of people that we are serving on an annual basis, we need more space. The community needs more space, and that's why we are establishing Chattanooga's first Latinx Community Center. And we will be in the heart of Highland Park. We've been in Highland Park for many, many years, and we wanted to stay in this location. But we are expanding our building space, doubling it actually, so that we can triple our impact. We know that with this additional space, we will be able to serve even more people. We will be able to gather together and really be able to create an impact in the Latino community.
And you're about 75% of the way. I understand you've raised about 900 of the 3 that's required for this new space. And Stacy, if I understand you, we can donate, but we can earmark our donations. It sounds like we can decide where we want that money to go.
You can. And, it depends on really what you want to focus on. So if you want to give directly to the community and you want that your donation to provide assistance to families that do not get federal aid, you can do that through a Latinx Relief Fund. If you want, your name on the new Latino Center, then you can put your money behind our capital campaign. And if you just want to support our efforts and make sure that La Paz continues to serve the Latino population here in Chattanooga, you can donate directly to our organization.
All right. Now, I got to touch on this. You guys are doing something pretty cool. The Leadership Awards. Share that with us, please.
Yes, we have had our Latino Leadership Awards every year since 2012. It is one of my most favorite things in the world because it is a time that we get to celebrate our local Latino leaders. And if you've never been able to be part of that event, I'm hoping that you can next year. We are not able to have that this year because of the pandemic. We normally have about 500 friends in a room together, and we are able to celebrate each and every one of those leaders, past leaders. This year, we are going to do something exciting as well. Even though we can't gather together, we still want to make sure that we recognize and highlight our local Latino leaders. And because we have gone through and we're still part of this pandemic, we've also had a local tornado here. We want to recognize heroes, our Latino heroes that have been on the front lines of this pandemic, that have gone above and beyond what they should have or could have done, and we just really want to highlight those people during this year's Latino Leadership Awards. So instead of the Leadership Awards, we are coming up with some grand ideas, and that will be we will put that out next week. I don't want to give you all the details, but we do have some really great things coming up. That will be, video publication, things like that. But we will definitely celebrate our local Latino leaders this year.
We will stay tuned to the website and see what's going on with you and with La Paz. And Stacy, thank you to you and your organization. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and hopefully we can get a voice out to our viewers and help support your efforts. If anything new comes up, you want to share with us, want to get the word out, we'd be more than happy to help your great organization. So Stacy Johnson, again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was great to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. You don't want to miss a single episode of Nooga Connection. So we have great news. You can now listen to us on your favorite podcast platform while you're driving, working out, running. Look us up, search for us, Nooga Connection, and enjoy. So after doing the segment with Songbirds, we learned that they are closing on August 15th. And I wanted to do this little intro from my law firm just to know they got $200 million worth of equipment. Check it out. You've got about 10 days. It's an interesting segment and a worthwhile trip. We have so much in Chattanooga to offer, and our next segment will show us even more. We're going to go to Songbirds, where we will be talking with Bryan Shannon, the brand director. Hi, Bryan. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Great to have you. Bryan, that's an amazing museum you have out there at Songbirds. Tell us, and that's the first thing I want to get into, because I saw some footage of what you've got in there. It's phenomenal that we have that in this town. Share with us, please, what your museum has.
Well, it really is quite special. And being a Chattanooga local, it's one of those things that whenever I discovered that we had this here pretty shortly after opening, it was a pinch yourself kind of moment, thinking, how do we have this here? This isn't just, one or two pieces of famous music history that were played by some great people, but it is just volumes upon volumes of the best guitars ever made, primarily coming out of Kalamazoo, Michigan for Gibson, Fullerton, California for Fenders, and some of the rarest one-offs, prototype guitars and instruments right here in the Scenic City at the historic Choo Choo. It's a pretty special, magical place for sure.
And you've got what, about 300 guitars in your permanent collection? Is that right?
That's right. On site here, it's actually a third of our entire collection. We rotate the pieces out with some frequency to make sure we're keeping the exhibits fresh. But yeah, it's all of ours here on site of these pieces that have been assembled and collected really over the past almost 23 years now by one of the great folks out there, Dave Davidson, who's been helping us accumulate these great pieces of music history. So in addition to your permanent collection, you have, what you mentioned, a rotating collection, and I understand you can have up to 1,700 instruments at one time. Do I have that number right? Yeah, that's right, and that includes amps as well. So we've got equipment that goes with it, which is pretty great. We actually have on loan right now a pretty cool piece. It was Dwayne Allman's. People refer to it as an SD, so not to be too nerdy, it's technically a Les Paul. It's a 1961 Gibson guitar that he made very famous on the Fillmore recordings, where it's got a slide. And that's actually the only piece in our collection that's not ours. It's on loan to us right now by the person that won that at auction last year. So folks can come down and get a chance to take a look at that and get up close and personal with that cool piece of history.
So, Bryan, talking with you, you are literally a walking encyclopedia. I'm not sure if our listeners even remember what encyclopedias are. Now it's called Google. But in addition to looking at these things through the glass, Songbirds offers something that the kid in us loves. We want to touch, we want to feel, we want to play. Tell us, if you would, about the player experience that you guys offer.
Yeah, and well, first of all, thanks for the compliment. I will tell you, I've been very fortunate. We have some incredible people, our curator, assistant curator, some people who have forgotten more about guitars than I will ever learn. But obviously, the staff here, we're at an advantage because we've got the ability firsthand to put our hands on these pieces of history. So some of it's just learning by osmosis. You're around these things and you learn it. But to the player's experience and what we offer, early on, some of the feedback we got from people was, man, these look really great. This is awesome. But these are like looking at paintbrushes in a museum, right? At an art museum. These are made to be played and used. And so what we've done is we've created this experience called our player experience, where individuals can select from pieces of our collection and come right down here, put those guitars in their hands, play them through some of the most incredible vintage amps available, and have a chance to, which many of us, myself included otherwise, I generally wouldn't have an opportunity to play a $500,000 guitar through, a $100,000 amp. But people can come down here and get a chance to do that for an hour to 2 hours, depending on the package that they select. They can also have a chance to record, with us as well too. So it's something that we're really proud of and that people have been taking advantage of. We actually just had an individual travel down yesterday and get a chance to experience that. And we love getting to do that. We love getting a chance to see people instantly when they get these instruments in their hands. The sort of oldest and most jaded of us immediately turn right back into that 13-year-old kid just geeking out about getting a chance to produce music, produce sound, produce art.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's exciting. Now, in addition to that, of course, you are a music venue.
That's right.
I know that we've had, with COVID, it's affected the entire economy, and then I know it's affected you all. But tell me a little bit, if you would, about the music venue. And things are going to open back up. They're going to. Everything's temporary, right? So tell me about the venue. Who comes into play? What we can expect?
Yeah, so it's been something we've been very careful about. When Hamilton County here in Tennessee rolled out the regulations mandating masks, it was something where we actually shut down for 2 weeks, really to kind of take a step back and look at strategically how we were going to make an environment safe, not only for the artists who were coming in, for our staff, but also for the patrons who wanted to participate and come and see live shows. I know we've got some roll there. We're showing of a show back in April of last year. And we're definitely not at a place where we're ready to do anything like that, close proximity, shoulder to shoulder. What we're doing right now with our live shows is we are limiting capacity. So the downstairs room, Songbirds South, which we were just showing right there, normally can hold up to 500 people. We're actually limiting that to half capacity, so cutting off show attendance to 250 individuals. But the shows are actually seated downstairs right now. So we have tables, distancing, and a lot of cleaning. I tell you, when we go through, once a show is finished up, I mean, it is like a hazmat unit. We go out there and just absolutely scrub stuff down, because we want to make sure that people are comfortable when they're coming here. They're masked when they're seated as well, too, so that we can do this in a careful, measured, right way. What's been exciting, especially about the shows that we've had, too, is that because the number of national touring artists have slowed down, it's allowed us to really feature more local talent. So we've had a lot of individuals who otherwise would have had a chance to play, that we've had a chance to feature, here at our South Stage.
That's cool. Now, Bryan, in addition, you are a native Chattanoogan, graduate of CSAS, graduate of UTC, this history buff. I wish I was a history buff. And you heard the allusion to the television show in there, Bryan, I'm sure. But
indeed, I did.
You have a podcast, and
we do.
Your podcast. Tell us. I mean, you had a guest that you told me about recently. Really cool. Tell us a little bit about your podcast. Number one, where we find you, and number two, what it's all about.
Sure. So we have the Songbirds Guitar Museum podcast. And what we're doing there is, because we are afforded this great opportunity here with this great collection, like a magnet, it attracts some of the best talent of individuals, of players today. Not only because they're coming here beforehand, pre-COVID, to play a lot of shows with us, but just because of the relationships and the attraction to the collection that we have here. We have pieces here that they themselves, many of these individuals who've toured for 40 plus years, have never seen. And to be able to get in person and be able to see, say, and I'll get a little guitar nerdy here, a 1958 Carina Explorer. There are only about 23 of those made. We have 2 of those in our collection here. So it attracts some people who are very interested in talking with us. And so we at one point said, we've got folks who are coming here anyway. Why don't we put a mic on them and actually get a chance to talk about their own experience with vintage guitars playing? So, we've been very fortunate. We had an episode that actually just we put out today with Brian Ray. Brian's one of the best guitarists in the world. He played with Etta James in the 70s, wrote for Smokey Robinson, and played with Smokey in the 80s. And then for the last 19 years, he's been Paul McCartney's touring guitarist and bass player. So you've got a guy with chops that can, stand right next to Sir Paul and play the bass line from "Love Me Do," and that's a pretty cool. That guy's got some great stories, as well as his own guitar line. He has his own guitars through Gibson. So individuals like that. We've got Joe Bonamassa coming to visit with us again this week. For a private thing that we're doing for a contest that we had back in the summer for a young player, an 18-year-old fellow that's coming down from Michigan to play with us. So these are just people that we get a chance to reach out to and connect with, who share with us our love for old things, vintage things, and really get a chance to open up with some things that you might not otherwise hear, maybe on some other more confined, shorter format discussion type shows.
Oh man, and that's here in Chattanooga, and you've got all these people you get to talk to. I greatly appreciate that you have taken your time to talk with us, because our desire is to get the word out in Chattanooga with these treasures that we have, and Songbirds is definitely one of those. Now, Bryan, how can we find Songbirds online?
Sure. So our website is songbirds.rocks, ROCKS. So you can go there and find all the current information on museum hours, tours, player experience information. You can see the packages that we have available out there, and information on upcoming shows. And we also link to our podcast that goes out every bi-weekly for what we do online. And then we have our other version of the podcast that we do on WUTC every Friday afternoon from 2 to 3.
That's awesome. Bryan Shannon, I thank you for your time today. It's been tremendous.
No, Scott, it was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Our incredible guests are what make this show so enjoyable. I want to give a huge thank you to Dr. Bryan Johnson, Superintendent of the Hamilton County Schools, Mindy Kolin, McKamey Animal Center, Miriam Manda from ArtsBuild, and Charlotte Caldwell from Stoveworks. Also, Stacy Johnson of La Paz, and Bryan Shannon from Songbirds. I'm Scott Davis, your host. Please join us next week for another tremendous episode of Nooga Connection.